I'm Nate, 28, once a programmer in Seattle, but now just a wanderer with a backpack and a cross-country train ticket. One night, on a train from Oregon to some place I didn't bother to remember, she walked into my compartment. Lila, a woman with eyes sharp as knives and a smile that threw my heart off beat. She sat next to me, so close I could smell her bergamot perfume, and whispered, "Relax. I don't bite unless you want me to." I nearly dropped my phone. That was the start of a journey I never saw coming, one that forced me to face my own secrets and a temptation I could barely resist. But would I dare cross that line or remain a bystander in my own life? I quit my job 3 months ago. Not because I hated it. Coding paid well, coworkers were fine, free coffee. But every day I felt trapped in an endless loop. Code, meetings, lunch, code, home, repeat. I started wondering, is this it? What am I living for? One night, after staring at my screen until 2 a.m., I bought an Amtrak ticket, the cheapest kind, no plan, no destination. I wanted to feel alive again, to see things that weren't in an algorithm or a work email. That night's train was quiet, just the hum of the tracks and dim lights in the compartment. I sat alone, earbuds playing some old indie rock, eyes glued to the window where Oregon fields blurred into darkness. The compartment was small, just 2 bunk beds and a fold-out table. I thought I'd have the space to myself, a rare luxury with my dwindling savings. But then the door slid open. She walked in, Lila. I guess she was around 40, but she looked younger, with brown hair tied loosely, a black leather jacket, and a red silk scarf around her neck. She didn't ask permission, didn't hesitate, just tossed her bag onto the top bunk and plopped down next to me, so close our knees touched. I startled, pulling out my earbuds. She looked me dead in the eyes, a half smile playing on her lips, and said, "Relax. I don't bite unless you want me to." Her voice was low, teasing, but her eyes were probing, like she could see right through me. I stammered, I'm not, I'm fine." She laughed, the sound echoing in the small space. "I'm Lila," she said, extending her hand. I shook it, feeling her warm, firm grip. "Nate," I replied, trying to sound calm. She leaned back, glancing around the compartment. "Not bad. Better than the seats out there. Where you headed, Nate?" I shrugged. "No clue. Somewhere. I just needed to get out." She nodded, like my vague answer was the most normal thing in the world. She rummaged in her bag, pulled out a small bottle of bourbon, took a sip, and offered it to me. "Want some?" I shook my head. "No thanks. I don't drink on trains." She raised an eyebrow. "Careful guy, huh? You one of those rule followers?" I gave an awkward laugh. "Not really, just don't want to do anything stupid." Lila tilted her head, studying me like I was a book. "Listen, Nate, sometimes stupid is the only way to live for real." That hit me harder than I expected. I didn't reply, just looked out the window, hiding the unease stirring inside me. We started talking. Lila said she used to be a freelance journalist, traveling everywhere, writing about strange people and places. But 6 months ago, she stopped. Her husband died of cancer. "I stayed in that house too long," she said, her voice steady. "Every corner was him. I had to leave, had to find something. Alive." I nodded, unsure what to say. "You?" she asked. "Running or searching?" I thought for a moment. "Both, maybe. I don't know what I want. Just know I don't want my old life back." Lila smiled, not the comforting kind, but like she knew exactly how that felt. "Good. Don't go back. Keep moving until you find answers." That night, I lay on the bottom bunk, listening to Lila's steady breathing from the top. The train sway was like a lullaby, but I couldn't sleep. There was something about Lila, her confidence, her way of talking, the way she made me feel both safe and in danger, that kept my mind racing. I wondered if she'd really stick around, or if she was just a passing stranger. The next morning, I woke to the smell of coffee. Lila was up, cross-legged on her bunk, holding a paper cup and a worn paperback. "Morning, sleep well?" she asked without looking up. "Got coffee? It's awful, but it's something." I took the cup, sipped. She wasn't kidding. It was bitter and thin, like dishwater. "Thanks," I said, suppressing a grimace. She closed her book, looked at me. "You talked in your sleep. Something about not wanting to be stuck." I flushed. "Really? I don't remember." Lila shrugged. "No big deal, but it sounded like you're running from something bigger than a job." I didn't answer, just stared at the coffee. She stood, stretched. "So, where to today, Nate?" Hesitated. "Or we let There's a small town a few stops from here. Saw it online, has an old bar and a river. Sounds cool." Lila nodded. "Sounds good. Let's do it." I blinked. "You mean together?" She grinned. "Why not? You're more interesting than I thought. Plus, I don't have better plans." We got off in a tiny Idaho town, just a few streets, a gas station, and a classic American diner with a flickering neon sign. Lila walked into the diner like she owned it, ordered 2 burgers and fries, and chatted up the waitress like they were old friends. I sat across from her, watching, wondering how someone could be so effortlessly at ease. Over lunch, Lila asked, "What's the worst thing you've ever done, Nate?" The question caught me off guard. I thought for a moment. I lied to an ex-girlfriend, told her I was fine with her going abroad for an internship, but I didn't want her to go. I was selfish, and she dumped me because I wasn't honest. Lila nodded, no judgment. "Good. At least you know you screwed up. Me..." She paused, the first time I'd seen her hesitate. "I abandoned a close friend when she needed me most. She was stuck in a bad relationship, but I was too busy chasing my career. I still regret it." That moment made Lila realer. She wasn't just the confident, charming woman from the train. She had scars, mistakes. We left the diner, walked along the river near town. Lila told me about nearly drowning while diving in Mexico, just to prove she wasn't scared. I told her about falling asleep during a college exam and begging the professor for a retake. She laughed hard, clapping my shoulder. "You're an adorable mess, Nate." That night, we rented a cheap motel room, 1 bed. Lila looked at me, eyebrow raised. "You cool with this? I'll take this side, you take that. No big deal." I nodded, but my heart raced. We lay side by side, inches apart, silent. I heard her breathing, felt her warmth. In the dark, she whispered, "Thanks for not making me feel alone tonight." I swallowed hard. "Thanks for everything." The next few days felt like a dream. We took buses, stopped in small towns, ate sandwiches at roadside diners, slept in rundown motels. Lila taught me how to haggle with bus drivers for cheaper fares. I taught her a simple card game my dad used to play. We shared 1 backpack, ditching extra stuff to travel light. "Less stuff, less worry," Lila said. And I started to believe her. But there were moments that threw me. Lila was close, but kept an invisible distance. She'd touch my arm when talking, laugh hard at my stories. But sometimes I caught her staring into space, like she was remembering her husband. One night, by a campfire at a campsite, she said, "He used to say I was the only one who made him feel alive. But when he was gone, I forgot how to live for myself." I wanted to comfort her, but didn't know how. I just held her hand, and she squeezed back. In that moment, I felt a deep connection, but also realized something. Lila didn't belong to me, and maybe she didn't belong to anyone. The climax hit in the second week, in a small Montana town. We were staying in a tiny lodge, just a few rooms, and that night, it poured. After a day walking in the rain, we were soaked, laughing as we ran into the room. Lila peeled off her jacket, hair plastered to her face, and looked at me with an expression I hadn't seen, a mix of desire and challenge. She stepped closer, put her hand on my chest. "Nate, she said, voice low. If we do something tonight, would you regret it? My heart pounded. I knew what she meant. Part of me wanted to dive in, to forget everything, past, future, the invisible lines between us. But another part, the saner one, whispered this wasn't right. Lila was hurting, and so was I. If we crossed this line, it could ruin what we had. I took a deep breath, placed my hand over hers, gently pulling it down. Lila, I want to, I really do. But not like this, not when we're both running. She looked at me, eyes shimmering, then gave a sad smile. You're a good guy, Nate. Too good, maybe. She turned, sat on the bed, and said nothing more. The next morning, there was no awkwardness, but something had shifted. Lila still laughed, still teased me, but I felt a new distance. We kept traveling, but I knew our time was running out. One afternoon, in a small coffee shop, Lila said, I think it's time I go on alone. There's a place in Colorado I want to see, a little ranch I wrote about years ago. I nodded, though my heart sank. I should head back to Seattle. Got some work emails I need to answer. We didn't talk much after that. On our last day, we walked through a park, leaves falling around us. Lila stopped, pulled a small silver necklace from her bag, a star-shaped pendant. This was mine, from my reporting days in Mexico. Keep it, okay? To remember you lived, really lived, even clutching it tight. At the train station, we hugged, not a teary goodbye, but a firm, meaningful embrace. Don't let life swallow you, Nate, she said. Promise me. I nodded. And you, don't stop dancing in the rain. She laughed, boarded the train, and was gone. 6 months later, I'm back in Seattle, freelancing, living in a small apartment. I cook more, walk more, and keep Lila's necklace in a wooden box on my desk. I haven't contacted her, and she hasn't reached out. But sometimes I Google the Colorado ranch she mentioned, wondering if she's there, writing a new story, or still dancing in the rain. Lila taught me life isn't an algorithm to solve. Sometimes it's just moments. A stranger on a train, a rainy night, a silver necklace. And I know, no matter what, I'll never go back to that old loop. If you've made it this far, thanks for sticking with my story. This is the Cheater's Diary, where we share tales of choices, temptations, and moments that change lives. Have you ever met someone who made you want to change everything? Drop a comment, share your story, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next tale. We're here, waiting to hear from you.